The summer heat shimmered off the glass towers of New York. Inside a packed ballroom, 300 investors held their breath as the company's billion-dollar demo froze on screen. Claire Hayes, the young CEO, stepped to the podium. Her eyes swept the room, then locked on one man. Ethan Cole, a quiet engineer and single father who never sought the spotlight. "If you can fix this system," she said into the mic, her voice clear, daring, "I'll kiss you. Right here. In front of everyone." Before we dive in, drop a comment with where you're watching from. And don't forget to hit subscribe for more stories like this. Let's begin. The ballroom was packed. 300 investors, cameras flashing, and a massive digital screen on stage. The air conditioners fought the July heat, but sweat still beaded on foreheads. At the podium stood Claire Hayes, 24, CEO of Hayes Technologies. Sharp blazer, voice steady, but her eyes betrayed pressure. She'd inherited the company after her father's sudden death just 6 months earlier, and this was her first major product launch. The star of the show, a new AI system designed to predict and prevent infrastructure failures. The future, she'd called it. But when the demo began, the screen froze. The sleek interface glitched. An error code blinked red. Whispers rippled through the room. Executives shifted in their seats. 2 senior engineers scrambled on stage, tapping furiously on keyboards. Nothing worked. In the back of the room, Ethan Cole, 32, adjusted his collar. A mid-level systems engineer, single dad, just another quiet face in the company crowd. He'd fixed bigger problems alone in his cubicle, but here, the stakes were astronomical. Claire's knuckles whitened on the podium. Then she shocked everyone. She pointed at Ethan, who'd been brought forward by a frantic floor manager. "If you can fix this system," she said into the mic, her voice clear, daring, "I'll kiss you. Right here. In front of everyone." Gasps. Laughter. Cameras zoomed in. Ethan froze, caught in the glare of the spotlight. He could walk away, or step forward and risk everything. And Ethan knew one thing. His 9-year-old daughter Lily was watching the live stream at home. He couldn't let her see him back down. Ethan climbed the stage steps, feeling every eye in the ballroom on him. He wasn't dressed for this. Plain shirt, sleeves rolled, not the polished suits of the executives. But his stride was steady, like a man used to fixing broken things. The 2 senior engineers stepped aside reluctantly, smirking as if to say good luck, rookie. Ethan ignored them. He plugged into the main console, fingers flying across the keyboard. The system logs flashed error after error. Corrupted files. Missing commands. A patch applied at the wrong time. 3 minutes. Claire whispered from the podium, her voice tight but calm. Ethan didn't look at her. He focused on the code, stripping out corrupted lines, rerouting the core functions. His father used to say, "Machines lie, but patterns don't." And Ethan could see the pattern now. He typed a final command. The screen blinked. Then, the interface snapped alive, data streaming smoothly. The AI avatar greeted the room in its clean, confident voice. Applause erupted. Relief surged through the crowd like electricity. Investors who had been ready to storm out now leaned forward, eager again. Claire exhaled, a subtle smile breaking through. And then, true to her word, she stepped forward. The crowd hushed. She placed her hand lightly on Ethan's cheek and kissed him. Not long, not romantic, but deliberate. A gesture of trust, witnessed by the world. Cameras flashed like fireworks. Headlines were already being written. Young CEO keeps her promise. Engineer saves the launch and gets the kiss. Ethan stepped back, flushed but composed. Claire turned to the audience with fire in her eyes. "Hayes Technologies delivers," she declared. The room roared. But behind the applause, Ethan caught sight of one executive near the back. A man with silver hair, arms crossed, scowling. Not cheering, not smiling. And Ethan realized, saving the launch hadn't just earned him a kiss. It had earned him enemies. The next morning, the city buzzed with the story. Local news replayed the clip of Ethan restoring the system, pausing on the kiss like it was the climax of a movie. Lily had watched it on her tablet at breakfast, beaming with pride. "Dad, you're famous," she giggled, waving her spoon like a wand. Ethan laughed it off, pouring cereal. "I'm just the guy who did his job, kiddo." But deep down, he knew things would never be the same. By noon, he was summoned to the top floor of Hayes Technologies, a place he'd never set foot in before. The boardroom stretched like a glass fortress, the skyline glittering behind it. Claire sat at the head of the table, calm but resolute. "This company owes you," she said, her voice firm. "Effective immediately, you're promoted to lead systems engineer. You'll oversee the AI division directly under me." Ethan blinked. "Claire, Miss Hayes," interrupted a gray-suited board member. His voice dripped disdain. "This stunt might have saved yesterday's presentation, but promoting a mid-level tech with no management experience? Reckless." Others murmured agreement. Ethan felt the weight of their stares, like intruders guarding their castle. Claire didn't flinch. "Yesterday, he did what your experts couldn't. He kept us from humiliation. He kept us alive. That's leadership." The silver-haired man Ethan had noticed last night leaned forward. His nameplate read Victor Hale, Claire's late father's oldest partner. His voice was low, controlled. "You made a spectacle, Claire. A kiss, a promotion, headlines about fairy tale rescues. This isn't leadership. This is weakness. Your father built this empire on order, not stunts." Ethan's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Claire met Hale's glare without blinking. "My father is gone. I'm building this company my way." The silence that followed was sharp enough to cut glass. When Ethan left the boardroom, his hands trembled. He had the promotion, the title, the new office. But as he passed Victor Hale in the hallway, the man leaned in and whispered, almost kindly, "You should have stayed invisible." Ethan's new office had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the summer skyline, but it didn't feel like a prize. It felt like a spotlight. Every hallway glance, every whisper carried weight now. Some congratulated him, others sneered behind polite smiles. Lily visited that afternoon, skipping down the hallway in her sundress with a juice box in hand. Claire had invited her up while Ethan settled in. "Your dad's a hero," Claire said warmly, crouching to Lily's level. Lily giggled. "He fixes my tablet too. So yeah, he's kind of the best." For a moment, Claire's hard CEO exterior cracked. She laughed, real, unguarded, and Ethan saw something shift between them. But not everyone was smiling. Later that evening, Ethan stayed late, combing through the AI system logs. Something gnawed at him. The crash during the launch hadn't been random. The corrupted patch was deliberate, slipped into the code days before. He dug deeper. Logs showed it came from an executive account. Access only a handful of senior board members had. As he printed the evidence, the office lights flickered. A soft hum cut through the silence. Then the printer jammed with a hard clunk. He pulled the tray and froze. Inside was a slip of paper that didn't belong. Typed, bold, chilling. "Stop looking." The printer sputtered back to life as if nothing happened. Ethan stood there, pulse racing. Someone knew he was digging. Someone powerful enough to leave warnings inside the system itself. When he got home, Lily was asleep on the couch, cartoons still playing. He kissed her forehead, trying to steady his breath. He'd taken a promotion, but what he'd really stepped into was a war. And the first shot had already been fired. The next morning, Ethan carried the slip of paper into Claire's office. She was at her desk, sunlight spilling across stacks of contracts. She looked up, sharp as ever. "You look like you didn't sleep," she said. "I didn't." He placed the note on her desk. "Stop looking." Her jaw tightened. She didn't act surprised, and that unsettled him more than the note itself. "You've seen something," she said quietly. "The launch crash wasn't random," Ethan replied. "The corrupted patch came from an executive account. Someone inside is sabotaging us." Claire's fingers drummed against the desk, a rhythm of nerves she was trying to hide. "I know." Ethan stared. "You know?" She rose, crossing to the window. The city hummed below, taxis, sirens, the buzz of summer life. But in her voice there was only steel. "The same week my father died, he told me he'd uncovered fraud in the company. He was going to confront the board. Then suddenly, heart attack." She turned. No autopsy, no investigation, just gone. Ethan felt the chill settle in his bones. "You think?" "I don't think," Claire cut in. "I know, but without proof. I'm just the daughter who inherited too much, too young. They already see me as a child playing CEO." Ethan sat back, stunned. He had suspected sabotage, but this was darker. Not just financial schemes, a death wrapped in silence. Before he could respond, Claire's intercom buzzed. "Mr. Hale is here for you," her assistant announced. "Victor Hale." Claire's eyes flicked to Ethan. For a heartbeat, the mask slipped, fear, raw and real. Then she straightened her blazer. "Send him in." The door opened. Hale walked in, silver hair gleaming, smile thin as a blade. "Claire." "Mr. Cole." He closed the door behind him with a soft click. Victor Hale moved like he owned the room. He didn't sit. He circled, inspecting Claire's office as though it still belonged to her father. His smile never reached his eyes. "Quite the show you put on at the launch," Hale said smoothly. "The kiss, the promotion. Headlines everywhere. Very dramatic." Ethan clenched his fists beneath the desk. Claire's expression stayed calm, but he could see the tension in her shoulders. "We saved the company," she said. "Investors stayed. That's leadership." Hale chuckled softly. "Or recklessness dressed up as courage. Your father would never have gambled the company's credibility on a mechanic in a borrowed suit." His gaze slid to Ethan, sharp and cutting. "I didn't gamble," Claire replied. "I trusted." The silence stretched. Hale finally leaned forward, resting his hands on her desk. His voice dropped, almost kind. "Claire, you're young. You don't understand how enemies are made in this world. Your father did. That's why he survived so long. But you," his eyes flicked toward Ethan, "you're handing knives to the wrong people." Ethan met his stare, steady. "If you have something to say to me, say it plain." Hale's smile sharpened. "Plain? Fine. Stay in your lane, Mr. Cole. Fix wires, not empires. Because when men like me decide someone doesn't belong, they don't last long." He straightened, adjusted his cufflinks, and headed for the door. Before leaving, he paused. "One more thing. Your daughter, Lily, isn't it? She's lovely. Reminds me of Claire at that age. You should be careful, Mr. Cole. Accidents happen in this city." The door closed. Silence crushed the room. Claire's face was pale. Ethan's pulse thundered, but his voice came out low, controlled. "He knows about Lily." Claire whispered, almost breaking. "Then you understand now why I said my father's death wasn't natural." Ethan nodded slowly. The war wasn't just about the company anymore. It had just gotten personal. That night, Ethan sat in his apartment long after Lily had gone to bed. Her laughter still echoed faintly from earlier. She'd insisted Claire join them for takeout pizza after the tense day. Claire had surprised him by saying yes. For the first time, Ethan had seen her relax, just a little. Lily had shown her drawings, bright markers, and silly doodles. Claire had smiled, really smiled, as Lily explained every detail. For a moment, the young CEO hadn't looked like the heir of an empire. She'd looked like someone who needed family. But when the dishes were cleared, Claire slid a flash drive across Ethan's table. Her eyes were steady, but her voice cracked. "These are my father's files. The ones he told me never to open unless something happened to him. If what you found is true, the answers are here." Ethan waited until Lily was asleep to open the drive. Thousands of documents lit his laptop screen. Contracts, board minutes, encrypted messages. Buried in the noise, he found patterns. Shell companies funneling money overseas. Ghost projects draining millions. And one folder, stamped with a single word, legacy. Inside were memos addressed to Claire. Drafted letters she'd never seen. One stopped Ethan cold. "Claire, if you're reading this, it means I failed. Hale is not what he seems. He will come for you. Trust only those who stand beside you without asking for gain. Anyone else is a knife waiting for your back." Ethan leaned back, breath shallow. Claire's father had seen it coming, and somehow, Hale had outlived him. He shut the laptop when he heard soft footsteps. Claire stood in the doorway, wearing one of Lily's borrowed blankets draped around her shoulders. "Find anything?" she asked quietly. Ethan hesitated, then nodded. "Enough to prove your father was right. Enough to know Hale won't stop." Claire's eyes glistened in the dim light. "Then we can't stop either." But neither of them noticed the shadow lingering across the street, a man smoking, camera in hand. Watching, waiting. The next morning, Ethan walked Lily to summer camp. The July sun beat down on the sidewalks, the city buzzing with honking cabs and food trucks. Lily skipped beside him, humming, her backpack bouncing. But Ethan's instincts were sharp. He'd spent too many years fixing systems not to notice patterns. The same black sedan had been parked across the street the night before. Now it was idling near the corner. Different driver, same tinted windows. He kissed Lily on the head, masking the tension in his chest. "Have fun, kiddo." She grinned and ran through the doors, waving as she disappeared inside. Ethan crossed the street. The sedan's window rolled down just enough for him to see a man in sunglasses. "Careful where you dig, Cole," the man said. "You've got a daughter. Remember that." The car pulled away into traffic, leaving only the stench of exhaust and threat behind. By noon, Ethan stormed into Claire's office. She was in a board meeting, but one look at his face and she excused herself. He handed her the note he'd scrawled after the encounter. "They're watching Lily now." Claire went pale. For the first time since he'd met her, she looked less like a CEO and more like a scared young woman who'd inherited a war. "They won't stop," Ethan said, his voice low. "They sabotaged the launch, they killed your father, and now they're circling my daughter. We need to take this to the authorities." Claire shook her head, almost pleading. "If Hale has connections in law enforcement, we'd be signing our own death warrants. We need another way." Before Ethan could argue, his phone buzzed. A message with no sender ID. Just a picture. Lily, leaving camp, smiling, holding hands with a friend. And beneath it, "Accidents happen fast." Ethan's chest went cold. He looked at Claire. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "They're not warning you anymore. They're daring you." Ethan slammed his laptop shut. The photo of Lily burned into his mind. His hands shook, but his voice stayed low and sharp. "If they come near her again, I don't care who Hale is. I'll end this." Claire stood frozen near the window, her reflection fractured in the glass. "Ethan, there's more." He turned. "More than threatening my daughter?" She swallowed hard. "My father didn't just die. He was murdered, and I covered it up." The words hit like a blade. Ethan stepped closer, eyes narrowing. "What are you talking about?" Claire pulled a thin envelope from her desk drawer. The flap creased from being opened 100 times. Inside was a coroner's report stamped with her signature. Cause of death, cardiac arrest. But stapled behind it was another page, and signed, "Never filed, toxicology inconsistent with heart failure." "My father's last night, he collapsed in his office. His drink had been spiked. I begged the coroner to hide it. Hale said if I didn't cooperate, the company would collapse, employees would lose everything. I thought I was protecting his legacy." Tears streaked her cheeks. "Instead, I gave Hale exactly what he wanted." Ethan's jaw clenched, fury and pity colliding. "You've been carrying this alone?" "I couldn't trust anyone," she whispered. "Until you." The office phone rang, shrill, slicing through the moment. Claire picked it up, listened, then froze. She mouthed the words to Ethan, "It's Hale." Ethan leaned in close, his voice a whisper meant only for her. "Put him on speaker." Claire's finger hovered, then pressed the button. Hale's voice filled the room, calm and venomous. "Claire, I warned you about handing knives to the wrong people. Tomorrow morning, I'll take the company at the board vote. If you're smart, you'll disappear quietly. And as for your engineer," Hale's paws dripped poison. "He won't survive another accident." The line went dead. Claire's eyes met Ethan's, wide, terrified. Ethan whispered, steady as steel, "Then tomorrow, we don't just fight for the company. We fight for our lives." The next morning, the boardroom buzzed with quiet menace. Suits lined the polished oak table, the city skyline glowing beyond the glass walls. At the head sat Claire, young but unflinching, flanked by Victor Hale and his allies. Ethan stood against the wall, not a board member, just the man they wanted erased. Hale opened with a smile that never reached his eyes. "The vote is simple. Claire Hayes has demonstrated poor judgment. We move to remove her as CEO effective immediately." Hands twitched toward ballot folders. The outcome looked certain, until Ethan stepped forward and placed a small drive on the table. "Before you vote," he said, voice steady, "you should see what Claire's father left behind." The screen lit up with files Ethan had decrypted overnight, financial trails, secret transfers, emails signed with Hale's digital signature. And finally, a video recording. Claire's father, weeks before his death. "If this reaches you, it means I've been silenced," his voice said, calm but grave. "Victor Hale has betrayed this company. Protect my daughter. Trust only those who stand beside you without asking for gain." Gasps filled the room. One board member dropped his pen. Another whispered, "My God." Hale's face darkened, his control slipping. "This is fabrication," Hale roared. But Ethan stepped closer, his voice cutting through the noise. "Fabrication? Then why did you threaten a 9-year-old girl yesterday?" The silence was deafening. Even Hale's allies looked away. Security entered moments later, summoned not by Claire, but by the board members themselves. Hale's protests echoed as he was escorted out, his empire collapsing with each step. When the room cleared, Claire stood slowly. For the first time since her father's death, her shoulders loosened. She looked at Ethan, eyes wet but bright. "You didn't just save me. You saved his legacy." Ethan shook his head gently. "No, we saved it. Together." That evening, Claire visited Ethan's modest apartment. Lily opened the door, grinning wide. "Claire, did Dad win?" Claire knelt, hugging the girl tight. "No, sweetheart. We won." Later, as the summer sun dipped below the skyline, Ethan watched Claire and Lily laugh together over pizza boxes and crayons scattered on the table. For once, the city outside didn't feel dangerous. It felt alive. And Ethan knew the truth. Kindness and honesty hadn't just saved a company. They had given 3 people a chance to be a family again. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more stories that stay with you.